Hello everyone, my name is Schaknat. I am Managing Director of Schaknat Electronic GmbH. Today we are optimizing a Scania 500S. Welcome to the second part of our video about the Scania Super Engine. Last week we measured the fuel consumption. I hope you enjoyed the video. Now, on the same topic, we will be performing power measurements on the test bench. A quick word about the new Super Engine. As I already mentioned, this is a pure 6-cylinder, 12.7-liter engine. It has 2 overhead camshafts and a single-piece cylinder head. Previously, we always had individual cylinder heads, but now we've changed that. You should get the same engine, which will then be called the D30. This engine series is available from 420 horsepower up to 560 horsepower, so 420, 460, 500 and 560 horsepower. Here we have the 500 model with an original 2,650 Newton meters of torque, equipped with the new G33 overdrive transmission, that is, with the 13th gear. This sailing gear. Last week we already saw from the fuel consumption that we achieved excellent values. So now let's just take a look at that. Let's take another look at the initial measurement. We'll also reflash it as usual using the app. As you can see, same operation, the truck is strapped down again. You already know the procedure. Now we'll measure again based on engine speed. In other words, we'll measure once from the bottom from 800 revolutions up to 2,100 revolutions. Direct run-through, direct power transfer, so we can observe what the engines deliver from the control unit. We've already measured a few that had very good torque, but let's just see what happens this time. You can see it now. Over here as well, our exhaust and extraction system is set up again. We have it on both the left and right sides respectively. Depending on which side we have the particulate filter or the outlets from the exhaust system, as you can see, everything is cleared away here. We've already finished installing it here. So I'd say let's take a look at the input power and then we'll see each other again at the monitor. My colleague Andre has now completed the initial measurement. The AKB should have 2,650 Newton meters and 500 horsepower in its original state. As you can see, we're now going to quickly look up at the monitor. Down here we have the torque curve again. Up here is the peak power again. And you can see we currently have a peak power of 482 or 483 horsepower, so 482.9. And a peak torque of 2,733. So we even have you can see the peak up here at the front. We briefly even had 70 Newton meters more, and then it settles in. You can see the RPM axis here from 1,000 to 2,100 revolutions, and here from 1,000 to 1,350. That's actually where it has its maximum torque here. You can see the line here. At this point we have about 2,674, so that's 100% stock torque, so that's really perfect. The customer also said that the vehicle runs very well in its original state. He also had the impression that it really has the torque and power, as confirmed here. You can always see it. With these models, it goes down linearly, not as sharply. It doesn't drop off as much as with others, as you might know. At higher RPMs, you still get peak power here, I would say. But what's really interesting is just this area. That's where we're going to optimize it now. I mentioned that last week we had the Eco variant. We're going to flash it again now. The other guy will do that quickly now. Then we'll do the baseline measurement, and after that we'll see each other again at the monitor.
So I'll show you the process of the app optimization again now. For that we use the Schaknat dongle. You plug it in up here, then carefully check the pins once again to make sure they're all straight. And then, after confirming, insert it here. When the dongle blinks blue, we can start just as usual. For that we go into the Schaknat app. Select Scania. We want to optimize a nice Scania here, even the Super Engine. DC 1374. Open settings. I hope I find the right dongle now. I always have a lot of customers in here with me. There we go, perfect. Let's go to Schaknat on the left. It pulls the chassis number, all the transmission values we need. The vehicle has already been created, so we can start as usual. Now let's go to the engine. Now we're flashing the Eco variant here. Press Eco Optimization once, yes, execute. We already turned on the ignition earlier. All consumers off, like lights off, radio off, air conditioning off. I always put my phone here so I don't make any mistakes. Because if someone calls now, I definitely won't answer, so the programming can run through without any issues. But even if something should happen, let's say the phone turns off, you drop the phone. Or whatever happens, we have recovery mode built in. That always means after an interrupted optimization, it automatically goes back to the previous state, so a mistake can never happen. And the vehicle always starts, so we already have it here. 46%, 48%. With Scania, this goes very, very quickly. With Mercedes, it takes a minute longer, and with Volvo, it's done in 30 seconds. You can also check the dongle. If the blue light is on, then the dongle is connected. The green light indicates power supply, and the other two small lights, if they flicker slightly, that means there are CAN bus signals being sent to the OBD2 socket via the phone. As mentioned, the smartphone is the interface between our server and the engine, and this way we can automatically provide the best software. Now we have the green check mark. Tada, that's it already. Now we're saving fuel. After the optimization, it's always very important to open the transmission control unit and adjust the devices here as well. The test bench mode is still stored here. Of course, we'll deactivate it later and also remove it from the app. It's only important for the test bench, so the truck knows it's on the test bench and can adjust traction and ABS accordingly, operate with different values. So adjust the transmission eco mode once, yes, execute. Perfect, that goes very, very quickly. Then, if you want, you can also read out the error memory. To do this, go to DTCS. Then it reads out all the control units. That takes a moment. Since the latest update, it takes a few seconds so that it can support multiple control units. So that's included in the new update. That's why you should always check if an update is available in the App Store. There are always new cool features. So we're constantly working on it and trying to continuously develop and improve the app. So now we have all the control units here. Let's go to read all error memories. Now it's reading out all the errors again to see if there's anything in there. Done. Now we can clear the error memory. Most of the time, the control units also get confused by the programming, so you should always clear the error memory afterwards. Perfect, no more error memory. That's exactly how we want it. So no more errors in the error memory. After that, just go back to the main menu. And something important for you to remember, if you go to the gear icon, then for example, you can see your OBD adapter here. If something lights up red down here, you can also update the OBD2 adapter through our app. You can see that here now. OBD2 now has the latest, most up-to-date software installed. And then you can also do this here. Ignore iOS battery status, because once your phone's battery drops below a certain level, there's basically no optimization possible. Free. That's simply for safety reasons. So you can basically adjust that again here in certain safety modes. Let's go back. Close the app once, swipe it from memory, important, don't log out, but in an emergency you'll just get a new TAN, meaning a new username and password. And then we can get started again. Now we'll do the initial measurement.
Andre has now done the initial measurement. Let's take a quick look at the values again now. As I mentioned last time, we had flashed the Eco variant in the engine and the Eco variant in the transmission. Let's quickly look at the values now. You can see here again, the green curve is now the Eco optimization. This here is again the torque, and this here is again the peak power, the upper curve. So here we see the RPM axis again. You can see what we wanted to achieve. Now, at the lower end, that means with the optimization, we have a nice, consistent torque throughout the lower range. You can see it here a bit longer. We now have an output torque of just under 2,900 Newton meters, specifically 2,881 and 544 horsepower. That's excellent for an eco optimization because, as I said, it's really all about saving fuel. And that was the goal here. the fuel evaluation is exactly this measurement that we carried out. Those are excellent values. The customer said that the 500 horsepower was already quite good, but there was still something missing. In terms of fuel consumption and shifting, there was room for improvement. That's what we've achieved now. I'm extremely satisfied with the result. It's not too much. The 560 model can handle it. This engine goes up to 560 horsepower. We're just a bit below that now. For torque, we're right on target too. So the customer will never have a problem with that. The engine and transmission are still within the standard range. I'm absolutely satisfied. I hope the customer is too. Now I'll teach the transmission separately, and then we're done with the optimization. We've reached the end of our video again on the engine and transmission optimization of the Scania 500S. If you enjoyed both videos, part 1 and part 2, feel free to leave a comment below the post. Let us know what interests you more, the engine performance, the transmission optimization, or maybe the fuel-related topics. We might focus on that more in the future. We'll also do the same for the other models as well, like Volvo, Iveco, or the other well-known brands, because I think customers are genuinely interested in that, since I get a lot of questions about it from people. Which trucks are currently the most fuel efficient? Which are the most reliable? So maybe we can help customers out a bit with that as well. If you're interested in this topic, feel free to check out our website at www.schaknat.de. You can also send us an email, give us a call, or contact us via WhatsApp. We're happy to offer you advice over the phone. Thank you for tuning in. See you next time. Bye.